Hello, welcome to another evening in the arena. It's me, it's CGB, and tonight we're getting in on another supporter request. Vertiman wants us to play with some Divine Visitation tokens. We've made something similar before, but I decided to push this one even harder, and I also took it down the road of a Saproling theme, as opposed to a History of Benalia theme. So we're exploring a few different things, and I think it's worth a shot. And this hand is kind of hilarious. I have to keep it. This is absolutely wild. But yeah, going down the path of Saprolings, Tendershoot Dryads, and seeing how that supports token strategies and cards like Divine Visitation. Using Flower, just like the other deck, but in quick look, you can see that we're Song of Freyalise, Spore Swarm, Llanowar Elves, Yavimaya Sapherd, Sporecrown Thallid. We also have Legion's Landing. Camaraderie is a card I really hope that I get to cast soon. And yeah, that's mainly the deck. So, a little bit of a different take on tokens. There's so many ways to build them right now, there's no reason not to try out some different things. It's not always about being the best, sometimes it's about learning. And as we've probably already learned, Swiftblade Vindicator is a real card. A card that will absolutely level you if given the chance. And if our opponent has this plus Mentor creature, we're in for a tough game, and there's just no way around it. Healer's Hawk. And no attacks, so the opponent doesn't want none. That's pretty good for us. We'll use another flower to keep the mana coming. And we could pump our dorks, or we could make more dorks. Since Saproling Migration has even more play later in the game, I'm going to get the Thallid online. We could also attack, but since it held back the Vindicator last turn, and since cards like Shock would be really devastating, I'm just not going to. You could try to read the opponent based on how priority's passing as to whether or not they have a Shock in that spot. You are playing with fire. Someday a good opponent might just set you up and get you burned for it, but the opponent passes and says go. It's interesting to try to Legion's Landing flip or to Spore Swarm. I like the idea of flipping the Legion's Landing and then playing the Spore Swarm, so let's see if this works out. Even if I lose the Sporecrown for this, I'm actually feeling alright with that since I have another Lord coming next turn after the Swarm. The opponent might trade their Vindicator or use Vindicator or Pump Spell to kill the Thallid, but no, it doesn't look like it. Our opponent's stuck on mana. They did mulligan. Perhaps not the most competitive showing, but certainly an opportunity to show what the deck does. And if they're without some kind of a burn spell here, this is going to get ugly. So we could flash in our blockers and put them in front of the Vindicator. The Vindicator can block something next turn anyway, so I like this idea since it has Vigilance. May as well block it now if we're going to block it at all. I'm also going to put a whole bunch of creatures in front of it in case my opponent decides to try to use a pump spell. Or a removal spell for the Thallid. Ta-da! Gets in there for its double striking, but it's only able to kill one, and now we untap and drop the hammer. That's a lot of damage. That is a lot of damage, and a Boros deck that couldn't get off 2 lands. Unable to compete. We already looked at the deck a little, but let's take the longer look over here in the builder. And let's see, flip that view. There we go. And God, I hope someday I'm able to drag this up, hide this collection. I'm kind of amazed that we still can't, because it would be great to look at this in the full screen instead of trying to look at it in this tiny space down here. But anyway, Flower is mostly a 1-drop that lets us play 20 lands instead of the usual 24. Song of Freyalise is a really fun card. I run 3 because drawing 4 is never great. Drawing 2 is very... Well, actually, drawing 4 is always terrible. Drawing 2 is usually diminishing returns because you really just want Song and then a whole bunch of other creatures. Legion's Landing's still in here because flipping the landing and having it as a consistent source of tokens for Divine Visitation is one of the best ways to make sure that you get an Angel engine going. And then we have the Llanowar Elves. They can create explosive starts. Legion's Landing flipping is also a great way to get up to cast your Divine Visitation, Tendershoot Dryad, and Camaraderie. If I get to do this one time, gain X life and draw X cards, where X is the number of creatures you control, I don't even care if they get +1/+1. If I get to Sphinx's Rev for like 7 or more off this, I'm going to be really excited. One card that isn't here is March of the Multitudes. I found that this deck, when it was going wide and doing its thing, I really didn't want to be doing more Marches. And when I had March in my hand, but I couldn't play out my early things to do my thing, I was in trouble. I think it's perfectly fine if you want to replace Camaraderie with March of the Multitudes. This is my effort to try out something different and maybe show something else on the channel that's a little different from our last token deck. Not necessarily the greatest of all token decks, but designed to at least give some variety. On the bone. A new deck every day, that's of course the aim that I have. It's pretty crazy sometimes and pretty ambitious considering just how many decks there are in Magic and how much you can play, but I think it's real. I think it's totally doable, and I'm going to keep going for it. Well, we have a lot of land. It's actually tempting to play a tap land, save 2 life, and not cast Flower to Flourish yet, because we have some tokens, but we don't have a finisher. I think I will hang on to this at least for a minute and play this land tapped, because say we draw 2 more lands in our next 3 cards, we don't need to cast this. We can cast the Flourish side and pump our squad instead. Well, never mind. Never mind. I think I'll just discard this land, but it looks a lot more likely that we're going to use it to get mana now that we've run into a rat. Let's make some dorks. If there's a second rat, I'm already planning to discard this flower. Oh, Plaguecrafter. Well, okay. Kind of an easy sacrifice on my side. More lands. Keep it coming. So, good old Golgari. I like the Burglar Rat and Golgari when the meta is closer to control. And I like the, just as kind of a side tangent, I like Wild Growth Walker as long as red is popular. It's, you know, the good old standby of what do you want to lose to. I don't think I even want to attack here. I think I just want to hold my creatures back. And go for a Spore Swarm into a Thallid, into a Flourish, or into a Flourish, I would say. And just try to hit the opponent super hard. They did nothing for their turn 4. Makes me wonder what is on the way. Maybe their hand is cards like Assassin's Trophy. Find Finality, of course, would be a real beating. Let's go for the Thallid and see what happens. And we'll send him in and see if the opponent has the trophy. It looks like it. Yep, here it comes. So what I'm thinking about now is Bind Finality, which would sweep the board. If I play the Flourish next turn, these creatures are, let's see, not lethal. Sets me up for a pretty good spot. My opponent would have to have exactly land Finality to really blow me out, and otherwise I think I win the game. But the way that they're playing the game really implies that they could have it. I'm going to go for it, because I think it's just high reward, and it's not necessarily that we lose the game if they have it. We just have to draw something that makes more tokens. Oh, that's harsh. We're gonna have to draw another one now, or some big payoff. That was pretty harsh. Alright. Do we start throwing away our creatures to attack? I think we can just start throwing the Sapherds at the opponent. They'll probably trade a Plaguecrafter for it, but we can hold these back until we're not throwing them away into the Plaguecrafter. And then we still have a board. Oh, to block or not to block? But I don't want to lose anything to the Plaguecrafter. Don't want to throw tokens away for damage at this point. We do need them as part of our board state. Okay, so this is the kind of stuff our opponent's hanging on to. More Plaguecrafters. Alright, we draw a Swarm. If our opponent takes 5, and then they untap, and they block here next turn, we can't kill them. We'd still be one short. So I'm going to keep sending the Sapherd. Alright, Crafter block. Spore Swarm, hold that for either a rat or some kind of instant speed effect. Oh my. Our opponent shows they can make tokens too. May we please draw something to take advantage of our tokens? Yes! Yes! Oh! Oh, I love it. I love it so, so much. Just let that settle in. So we could play the Song of Freyalise and dump the rest of our hand? That's pretty good. I think what I'll do is play Song of Freyalise, Tendershoot Dryad, and I'll send in these two. But I'll hold back the rest in case of, you know, the fine finality we keep talking about. But now the opponent has to deal with the Dryad, or they're dead next turn. And even if they do, we can rebuild, and then the Song of Freyalise will threaten to make the army amazing once again. That's a good top deck, my friends! Sphinx's Revelation returns to standard in a totally weird way. Alright, Vraska's Contempt. Our opponent pretty loaded on like sacrifice and spot removal. Lives in a rough place against the tokens. Let's go into combat, and I'm going to throw all my creatures upon the opponent here to flip the Legion's Landing ASAP. Alright. Now, do I also migrate? Or do I just make a first for it? I think I keep playing conservatively. I don't see how I'm in any risk of dying when I'm at 27 in this spot. I'm going to hold on to this land in case there's another rat in my future. I'm going to hold this in case there's a sweeper in my future. I'll pass the turn. And I want to play one of these each turn to kind of like make multiple tokens each turn with the fort. Speaking of which, oh, well, that's sad. Destroy an enchantment. Yeah, that'll do. But again, though, our opponent absolutely loaded on spot removal. Everybody in. Oops. Ah, I meant to activate the other one first. Little mistake. I meant to make an extra 1/1. That's what I meant to do. Just another day of CGB, making a few misplays. I think part of it's the recording at night, but if I am to keep up with my schedule on weeks where I have to be out of the house, I have to do a little bit of recording at night. And I also want to do right by the people who would really love to see their decks get played. They sacrificed the Azoni, which means they might have a way to get it back, but not in time, as they did. Wonderful. Yes, good, good. Well, if I never get to cast Camaraderie again, I lived as few dare to dream, and it was amazing. Somebody dressed up like a Teferi for Halloween. Ugh. I immediately start getting thoughts of the traumatizing that it is when your opponent is drawing cards with Teferi and you have no way to kill it. But instead we get a mountain. Well, I'm going to pay the 2 life for a Llanowar Elf on 1, but it may just die. Not dead yet. Cross your fingers, boys and girls. We could play around Syncopate with this Thallid. Or we could just play right into Syncopate with the Sapherd. Sapherd's definitely the more explosive opening. If our opponent had a burn spell, the elf wouldn't be alive, which makes me think they have a counter spell. I'm gonna go for it. We didn't come here to just not throw our cards on the table. Okay, we are cooking with gas. Let's see if this resolves. Alright, we got bonus mana. And we'll play you, and beware of sweepers, but we didn't come here not to... We didn't come here to play around sweepers, by God. We came here to smash everything in our path. Nicol Bolas, perhaps? If it is Grixis, and we can resolve this Divine Visitation... Oh my! Chemist's Insight. Are they just dead? Hold on. If we play you... Oh, they're not dead. Yeah, I think I'm gonna get this Divine Visitation out there. And we'll see if the opponent can come up with a sweeper here. Take a turn off from damage just to inflict maximum misery. That's what happens when you don't have a sweeper against the Saprolings. Well, things are flying right by. I think we can try one more. This one's going exceptionally well. People woke up and weren't ready. They weren't ready for the Tendershoot Dryads and the Sporecrown Thallids. It's got a little bit of a tribal thing to it. We'll have to do a Thallid tribal deck at some point. That will probably be black-green. Slimefoot the Stowaway is just a perfect mascot for the deck to not include. But the green-white version with Visitation, I've got to say, is pretty darn fun. So white is our splash color, so I think I'll just lead on the green and go get another green. This is the first hand where I don't feel like I have a real engine. I just have 2 dorks into pumps. It may not be good enough. Especially if I draw a lot of land from this spot. I really need a Song of Freyalise off the top, a Divine Visitation, a Tendershoot Dryad, something with some more kick. Especially if our opponent plays a Steel Leaf Champion. Ah, District Guide, much less terrifying. Let's see if this means they're playing black or white. As District Guide in mono green, not what you're really after. Okay, you get a Guild Gate. Ugh, more land? I still don't think I want to trade my 2/2s with another Thallid in hand with a guide, so I'm not going to attack yet. But yeah, we're going to be looking for some of those powerful draws ASAP. Uh-oh. Opponent's got some good stuff for 4. Is it a Ferox? It's a Circuitous Route. Go get 2 basic land cards or gate cards and put them on the battlefield. And there's 2 Selesnya Guild Gates. What are they building? What are they up to? Well, this will pump the team, but it's going to be a while. But at least for now, we have 3/3s to attack with. Opponent takes it all on the chin. What do you suppose they're up to? What does all that mana do? A Pelaka Worm would be very intimidating. a Pelt Collector. Don't touch my Thallids. They're all I have in this world. I've drawn way too much land. Please don't kill them. I has nothing else. Ooh, okay, Blanchwood Armor. Well, that's weird, because when you get gates with this, the Blanchwood Armor doesn't work that way. Knight of Autumn. Okay. So gain 4 life is the play, and pump the Pelt Collector and say go. Well, every time we make it, they're gonna want that Knight of Autumn back. They're really gonna want that Knight of Autumn back. Maybe they have another. That would be very brutal, by the way. Please don't. The Terror of Calcisma. Bear! Bear! No blocks. We need to keep our critters, but please draw a Token Maker. Did it. Now, we could have pumped the team with Flower, but I think getting an Angel down is a good choice. Also, we can send these in because everything here is 3 toughness. And say go. We're really close to flourishing. I don't know if my opponent's going to turn everything sideways. Oh, they run Camaraderie? No! No! That's so good! Outplayed by our own technology! It's all down to the top deck. We have a bajillion things in our deck that make tokens. Will we draw one? And will we live to see it? Our opponent may just throw the book at us right now. Scary. Oh, and that gives it trample. Oh no. Alright, so. I think we've just got to gang up on some things. I think the Goreclaw has to go. This is 7. The problem, though, with the Thallids is they're going to shrink the other creatures. So we need to be 2 above. So it's like this. And then the opponent can only kill... No, it can kill both of them. Oh, it's so bad. This is such bad blocking. We could just put it all in front of the District Guide. And then we see if our opponent can figure out how to align their blocks correctly. Alright, let's try that. They should put the Thallids first, and then the Sapherd, so they can take these out and shrink these. And then I think we still have a shot if we draw a Token Maker. Something that can make a whole bunch of angels. Alright. That, I would have said a second ago, is definitely the best I can do. It is instant speed, my friends. It's going to be a perfect ambush. Now this has vigilance, so we can go ahead and get in and pass the turn. This one's gonna be messy, my friends. Here they come. Before blockers, make 3 angels. So that's taking 1. That's taking 0. We need this, and this, and this. And let's think. Now... instead of taking 1 there, we can put another one over here, and then we're taking our 1 point right there. We can make the same play here, just in case of a pump spell on the Tramplers. Yeah, that might help if they have something that's like +2/+2 or +3/+3 for a Trampler. It's the arena, you never know what'll happen. You never know. I mean, they'd just pump the unblocked creature if that were the case anyway. So that's a silly thing to even think about. Another ramp spell. We untap. Let's go for the win. With the pumps, we might be able to get there. We out combo strike. The perfect draw with Divine Visitation. That is one thing. I don't know if any other deck I've seen with Divine Visitation is the way to instant speed, make 3 angels. Oh wait, March of the Multitudes. Sometimes I can be dense, my friends. Still, oh, look at all these cards. I know some of you probably got this quest a long time ago. I don't know why it took me so long, but there you go. Well, thank you for watching this video. Thanks a lot to Vertiman for the support and the deck idea. And to all of you, I will see you in the next one. Good night.